Right. Welcome everybody to lives in one day. See, Josh, you're a good influence on me.
We got to get you in that digital world.
Yeah, I know. Hey, I have a question for you starting off. Why was there a pool warmer or a cover on? I mean, it's 85 degrees, and in the one of the videos I saw that the lane lines were covered with like to keep the heat in. So what's going on with that?
Dude, we need to keep it warm. It gets into the 60s overnight. You have to keep it warm. Save that energy. That heating bill isn't cheap, man.
Man, I was like, I said I had our own polar vortex because I used the spray that had like the cooling fat, on the sunscreen, and I
Yeah.
felt bad that was my biggest complaint. But no, dude, welcome. I'm really excited, and one of the things that I really love doing is helping athletes and coaching, and I've been seeing all this crazy noise in the swimming RX stuff and the swim groups that you have. And I see all these people making huge progress. And I know that I was swimming with Matt Russell this morning, and I know you're working with him later today too. And
Yeah.
he's been super excited about some of the stuff that you've been having him do. And so one of the things that I kind of prompted myself to reach out to you today was because I don't understand, and I'm just curious. I'm hoping people are signing up with the program that you're offering because, and this is kind of my public service announcement to athletes, because this is not even something that benefits me. This is just, I really love helping athletes, and this is just such an amazing program that you've assembled. And just to give a little bit of context, one of the reasons that I brought Josh to my repertoire of coaches is because I like efficiencies and I like things that work. And I also like simplicity, and I feel like when I was talking to Josh, the precipice of our working together was he's like, I don't think people need to swim more than like 3 times a week. And in fact, I really don't even think that they need to be swimming much more than 3,000. And they just need to be doing about 7 things correctly. And I feel like everybody should swim under 110 for an Ironman. And I'm like, dude, I have so many people that would like eat at that, and jump on it. And so that's kind of where the question that I put it, would you rather look fast or be fast, and I see all these triathletes spending so much time and money on things that really don't move the needle, like the special paddles, or like the special carbon fiber stuff, or like the water bottle cages. I like to kind of joke about, or it's time to upgrade my Aero helmet, and I'm just like, oh, I get it, right? Because you feel like this is stuff that you can just buy speed, but never have I seen the results that I've seen you beginning for people. And so I just wanted to really remind people that you're out there, and maybe you can kind of plug in and with us and kind of explain to us a little bit more one more time what you have going on.
Yeah, it's kind of funny. After my whole thing now, kind of my hook, what I tell people is like, yeah, you can drop 7 minutes in your Ironman with, 3-4 weeks of training. No big deal. And they're like, what?
Can I take the course 10 times?
Yeah, totally. Just because, the average person that, comes in, whether they consume whatever information they consume, whether they are a one-on-one coaching client, whether they buy the course, typically I can pretty much guarantee about a 10-second drop, which equates to a 10-second drop per 100, I should say. Right. So you come in, you're going 130, now you'll be 120s. You're going 2 minutes, now you'll be 150. Wherever you come in, right. The average, some people are 15 seconds, some people are 5 seconds. Depending on how fast you are. Obviously, the faster you get, you have less room to drop. It gets harder and harder. Right. But pretty much on average, we're about 10 seconds now. My kind of my star pupil, so to speak, has dropped 35 seconds per 100. So he came in, he was a Spartan racer that decided he wanted to get into triathlons. Been doing it about a year. He was right at about 2 minutes per 100 meters. And he, in about a month and a half, he got down to 125. The latest figure, he's at about 116 per 100. And I'm like, dude, you need to enter a master's swim meet like right now. No way. He's 47, by the way. So he's not like a 25-year-old kid. And again, that's my best case study. That's not typical. But you see what happens when you align things the right way, and kind of getting into the methodology. The problem is there's just too much information out there, right? YouTube is prevalent with advice. but what nobody gives you is the context and the sequence. Okay,
Right.
so you don't know where this fits in the overall scope of what you need to work on, and you don't know the order to work on it. So basically, you don't know what the steps are. So this kind of I built this methodology actually not coaching triathletes, actually coaching 6, 7, and 8-year-olds, which I did for many, many years with great success. And then what's that?
The same mental capacity as a lot of us athletes.
Yeah. So it's on par. Okay. But the point being, like, how do you take somebody who isn't comfortable in the water, whether they're 50 years old or whether they're 6-year-old? How do you then give them the skills to A, be comfortable, and then B, progress, and then C, finally get quote unquote fast, whatever that is to you? And really it's about the big levers. I see people focusing on so much stupid crap that doesn't even matter, Yep. And when it comes down to it, I mean, you said 7-step process. It's really pretty much 3 to 4 things that you need to actually work on. Just the drill progression that I give out is 7 steps, basically taking you from essentially just kicking in body position, establishing the foundation of your stroke, adding drills on in a progressive sequence to then take you to freestyle. And really the secret and kind of the magic behind it is it's a progressive drill pattern where you learn a skill and then you don't just stop, you add on to it, you stack your skills, so you are always progressing. Okay, so it's and it just makes too much sense. And like, it's kind of crazy because I'll be perfectly honest, when I started with people, I knew that I could get them results virtually without ever actually meeting them. It is hard to replicate the in-person experience, but I'm even blown away at the results people are getting. And that, to me, that just speaks to how confused triathletes are when it comes to the swim, because what do? They don't like it, so they avoid it. So they run more, they bike more, they train harder, they try to make it up in other areas, but there's so much, and you can speak to this better than I can, but it's not just dropping 5, 7, 10 minutes on your swim. It's being with a better group of riders. It's being fresher and having more energy in transition when you get on the bike. It's about not having to work so hard to catch up. So the benefits that people are experiencing are amazing. And I can't wait until we get more into the actual season. And this is why I'm so excited to work with Matt, because I told him, 54, that's too slow. And he got 6th in the world at Kona. And he swam a 54 when that first pack was in that 49.50 range and the leaders were 47.48 or whatever that was. And he doesn't need to be a lead. He doesn't need to win the swim, but he needs to be at the tail end of that first pack. And we all know how great he is at the bike and the run. Can you even imagine if he had subtract 4 minutes off his time, but subtract that effort that he had to use and expend on the bike to catch up? And then imagine that Matt on the run, running people down.
That would be insane. So now I need to make sure that I don't sign up for his races. Not that it mattered before. But, no, but it's like, I feel like I can tease triathletes a little bit too, because I'm amongst them, and it's like, I've had athletes, it's where it's like, hey, thanks for all this progress. It's been really great. I just PR'd or qualified or whatever. Like, it's like, literally I've had these conversations and then they're like, got to stop coaching next year because it's going to be a little tight on budget. I'm like, no, totally. I absolutely respect that, And then literally the next sentence is like, hey, I'm thinking about getting this new disc wheel, or I'm thinking about going to this Ironman France or whatever. It's just like, but it's just like, you have to just decide what it is that you want to invest in. And it's like, I think that if I'm going to play devil's advocate because I am amongst them. And I think that if people aren't jumping on this, it's probably coming from a couple of objections, right? The in-person one, you kind of tackled, and I think you would agree. Like, if you have a fantastic swim coach that could stand over you, do that, right? I mean, like, obviously price aside, because you're probably not as expensive as that person, it's like, but how do you deal with the location?
So a lot of the course and a lot of my back end material, it really encourages a quote unquote feel for the water.
Okay.
So the best gift that I can give athletes is the ability, not necessarily to coach themselves, but to recognize, feel, and understand where they're off, where they're on, and where they're off. So after going through this, you're going to develop that proprioception to understand where you are and what you're doing. And you're going to know once you feel it, once you get the feel for the water and you feel that extended glide, you feel yourself finishing your stroke and actually gliding forward and not going down.
Right.
You'll know when it doesn't feel right. And, you know, obviously I do have one-on-one clients, and that involves a bunch of, you know, back and forth video analysis, things like that. And when we do that, there's really, to me, almost no difference. My clients have gotten amazing results. That's kind of a different package. But when we combine the video with the education, with the checking in, it's really makes no difference whether I'm there or not.
You know what? I have a couple thoughts, but when I'm out of order for a little bit, but let me finish this one first. You know, I'll tell people, they're like, do you coach people in person or do you coach them remotely? And I'll tell them, like, even the people that I coach in person, we rarely ever meet up because I can tell so much more from the data, you know, it's like, cause I'm like, and I always use the example, like when I'm riding next to somebody in person, you can't get more in person than that. And I'll ask them, like, how do you feel? I feel great. How do you feel? I feel great. How do you feel? And then 2 minutes later, they're blown off the back. Well, obviously they didn't feel great, you know? So it's like, but once I load the data, I can be like, oh, well, this is why you didn't feel good. And this is what happened. And so in every swim instructor I've had, it's eventually like, get the film, let's go back, let's measure angles, do you see this? Do you see this? Because when you're in the water, especially if you don't have the proprioception, when you're in the water, you can't even, you're not communicating with that person anyway. Your face is underwater, you know what I mean? So I think that at the end of the day, you need to have the picture and then you need to see what's going on. And so I think that that's really important. And one of the things that I was out of order about was I find a big tendency that people identify their coach in the area is the fastest person in the area, right?
or the fastest guy on their master's team.
Yeah, exactly. And I'm not saying that that person's not a good coach, but just because they run, swim, bike, or whatever fast. Like, for example, we love Matt Russell, but I would never let that dude teach me how to swim, you know? So he might even be able to beat me out of the water sometimes because but he's just a talented athlete, you know, like the ability to communicate and understand and come in at your level and meet you where you are and know what you're dealing with and all that other stuff. That, in fact, I would say a lot of times really good athletes never had to deal with that and figure out those things. And so it's really hard for them to understand. Like I literally hired a run specialist once that I would say, how come I'm not running faster? And his response was literally, you just need to run faster. Like, no shit, you know, like I understand that if it was that easy, you know? So being able, where I think that you have a lot of credibility was you obviously were captain at Syracuse, you were a D1 swimmer, you're a Masters champion, you know, but you also have the ability to communicate too. So I meant to bring that up as well. But
yeah, I try to I mean, like, here's the thing. Everybody can speak to how good of an athlete they were. And I never really considered myself a great swimmer, but like you hit the nail on the head when you said thinking about it as a coach. I'm able to apply what I do because I think about it a lot and I've gotten better. Well, not better. I mean, I was better in college, but I haven't fallen off because I really embraced the technical side of the sport after college as a master swimmer. Is pure aerobic capacity and endurance. Believe me, I'm nowhere near what I was when I was 20 years old. However, I think I'm a lot smarter now and I've had time to think about it as I coach other athletes. And when the biggest takeaway, I just wrapped up with a client that came in from Oregon to work with me today. We did a little 3-day camp and his feedback to what I hear that, you know, the biggest compliment I get, you made it simple. Okay. Right. So I meet athletes where they're at and I make it simple. And I find that's the problem with a lot of swim coaches in the traditional swimming world with, you know, high school, college age kids. They know the sport, they know what they're doing, but they can't communicate it to an adult onset swimmer that doesn't have the same physical gifts because you're dealing with a completely different subject matter. Exactly. So one thing that I've really tried to pride myself on, like what I'm doing, what I'm telling you isn't necessarily revolutionary, but I think the way I explain it really helps triathletes. And I think the sequence that I put it in is something that I haven't seen in the triathlon space.
No, I mean, like it's like nutrition, right? Like I knew like I needed to dial in my nutrition, but I used to tell my nutritionist like, as soon as you tell me to buy a scale, I'm out. Like, because there's no way I'm gonna walk around with a scale like measuring my food at restaurants. Like it's not gonna happen. It's not actionable, you know. So like make it simple.
Yeah.
And that was actually the next thing is this hard? You know, is it physically hard to do the things that you're asking people to do, or like at what level do they need to be able to come in and be able to even be able to execute some of the stuff that you're going to ask them to do?
That's the thing. It's not hard at all. And people are shocked at what because like, I just don't, you have to understand, like, this isn't an approach that you've seen in other swim coaches, triathlon coaches that tell you to swim more. In fact, I would go as far as saying, if you are not under 115 in your Ironman swim, maybe even 120, I would stop training immediately. I would stop doing workouts because you don't need that. You need technique.
Right.
Okay. And so there's certain base levels of technique with body position, kicking, breathing. Those are the things that people struggle with. If you are not, let's just call it 120 in an Ironman swim or faster, you should stop everything and you should dial in your technique, because what you are doing is not working and you are simply reinforcing really bad habits. Okay. So is it hard? No, because it has nothing to do with conditioning. Now, as you get faster and faster, it will get harder. So because you're using different muscles, because really the problem is, Adam, that when they're swimming and they're 120 plus, they're inefficient. So they're actually not using anywhere close to their true strength to propel themselves through the water. So once we get your technique dial, then it does get harder, but you'll get that significant jump right away, right off the bat. And then it gets harder to maintain. And just because we fix your technique doesn't mean you can handle that over a 3,000-yard workout. It will get hard as you train with it,
Sure.
but getting the initial technique is not hard.
I mean, I think that's huge. And I mean, to be honest, like I used to go back and forth with like having to have the right technique, but then balancing it with having enough endurance. So is that something that Brian saying he swims faster than Adam? He probably does. But is that something where it's like you're like I mean, like how do you deal with that? Like if somebody's just not aerobically, so I guess my question is, can you not be fit enough to do the technique for a long period of time, or should you just not? I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, if you're doing if you're doing a workout, your technique will break down. I mean, my technique still breaks down, but I'm going for more of that conditioning. So conditioning comes into play. It's kind of like the way I describe it, there's really 3 levels of swim training for triathletes. It's positioning, propulsion, and programming. And programming is kind of the magic when you're dealing with somebody like yourself that needs like minor technical changes. We need to get you something faster through speed and intensity. We need to increase your maximum speed. Like Matt, he needs to get faster. Matt Russell's fitness is otherworldly. Like Matt doesn't need to get more fit. Now, with people just coming in, most of the time, I mean, really almost all the time, fitness is never the issue. Triathletes are very hardworking. They're in very good shape, but it's the application of that force and that fitness in the water. So fitness isn't the issue. Moving the right way is.
What about if, just thinking more objections that people I know are going to have, what if I swim with a master's group, right? So if I go to the master's group and can I still learn from what you have going on, or, how does that integrate?
Totally. I mean, I think we're here today to talk specifically about the plan. That has nothing to do with training. I mean, I offer monthly workouts. I offer higher levels of service, but what I find the biggest thing holding people back is technique. Yeah. So if you're swimming masters on a weekly basis, you want to swim the right way. So this is absolutely for you. And I have an objection I hear all the time, which kind of boggles my mind, and you'll laugh at this. People are like, yep, love to do your program, but I have a coach. I love my coach. And I'm like, well, I love your coach too. Like, I don't, right. Like my goal, it's a singular goal. It's to make you a better swimmer that fits into your triathlon training to help you as a triathlete. We're not trying to take you to a master's meet here. You're more than welcome to, if you'd like to swim masters, that's great. But this is to fit within your triathlon training. So, yeah. And I shake my head because I work with you and you purchase that first level of service for all your athletes. And I'm like, dude, this will make your coach look good. Like, I want to support you.
Absolutely.
I'm not trying to tell you to like get rid of your coach. I work with triathlon coaches. I am not a triathlon coach. I show up and help and assist athletes that need that. And frankly, most triathlon coaches, if they're honest, I think they kind of dread coaching the swim because they're not as confident with that. If they're really being honest in that dark room or talking to the friends when they think nobody's around, I think most triathlon coaches don't necessarily like or feel confident with coaching the swim. And they just give these workouts out, checking a box to fit the yardage in, but there's no real segmentation and plan behind how that fits into the program. It's kind of a box you check off. And what I try to do is say, okay, look, you're probably swimming 3 times a week anyway. Let's maximize that time.
Are you open-minded to working with other coaches too, if they want to use it for their athletes? Because I do think that that's, going back to people who are fast, one of the things that I think if you get the right fast person, that fast person has a really good network that they've assembled to help them facilitate that speed and their success. And if you're able, and that's what I've always strived to do through my communities and that type of stuff. And sometimes I've struggled to communicate that intention, but it's like, I know that coming through, I had to go figure it out because I had a breaststroke for my first Olympic distance swim. Like, I swam in high school, so I'm not saying that I came from a non-swimming, but I was so out of shape that I had literally had a breaststroke because I didn't have the endurance to do a 1500. And so I literally had to assemble everything that I possibly could to try to get the most out of myself. And I know all the components that are needed in order to have people have the most success that they have,
Mm-hmm.
So I try to assemble that in one package for people. So are you willing to work with coaches and help them kind of dial anything for their athletes? Or
Totally. I want to work with coaches. In fact, 90% of my clients are either coached or coaches themselves. And I think that's great because here's the deal. Like, I really want to simplify this for people, and it doesn't need to be as hard as people make it. So if I can help a coach, for example, that coaches, let's say 5 athletes, I would like to think that they would then take that knowledge to then help their athletes, because really it makes them a better coach, and they're spreading that knowledge and they're spreading that, that love that I have for swimming and that simplicity that I love. So
right.
I absolutely want to continue to work with more coaches just to kind of spread that belief. And really, also it's funny, I was just chatting with a client before I got on with you, and he said, I think Jason, but he said, you know what, I'm actually looking forward to going to the pool next week, and that's never happened before. I'm like, dude, that's awesome. And that's the thing. That's the thing. Like, you don't like swimming because you don't know how to do it.
Right.
And I'm not talking about anybody in particular. That's a general statement. But think about how much fun it is to improve at something. And I promise you, if you're one of those triathletes that is avoiding the swim and dreading the swim, that is your biggest area of improvement. And when you are noticing things that you're noticing your time drop every week or every session, that's going to become fun. I promise you.
Absolutely. How long is it? One, I was going to say, can you prove it? Can you prove that this works? And then 2, like, how long does it usually take to get results?
I can prove it through the copious amounts of testimonials that I have. Okay. So if you click on, I think you posted a link in there. That'll click through. It's a page. I'm explaining the program. I have a very special offer that I'll talk about in a second, but there's a bunch of testimonials on there. That's like a third of what I have. If you need more, hit me up. I can give it to you. Honestly, I hate to make outlandish claims. I'd rather just let it do the talking for itself. But honestly, people have been dropping 5 to 10 seconds in a week.
That's amazing.
Which is incredible. And obviously, if you're faster, it's going to take a little bit longer, but like, that's the whole thing. When you just get yourself positioned and swimming the right way, technically, you'd be amazed how much you can cut off. I mean, even somebody like you, didn't you drop like 3 seconds just like that? Yeah. I mean,
I did. Yeah. And look, I always think that like full disclosure, of course, I'd like to coach everybody out there through Superfly, but if you're not going to get coached with me, I'd like you to have good help and good advice. And so that's one of the reasons why I bring Josh on here. And I've even saying, like, look, even if you're another coach, not part of our group, like, you should reach out to him, because my interest first is to make sure that athletes have a good experience in the sport of triathlon, because if they go out and have a good experience, the sport's going to continue to grow. It's going to gain in popularity, and it only helps the whole community kind of move forward. And again, like I just do everything I can to try to help everybody try to make good decisions going forward. And if there's anything that I can do, I was thinking like if I put that link up there, Josh, I don't know if you're able to track it, but if anybody who's not coached by us, obviously I can't make promises for people who already are because they're already getting your benefit or whatever, but it's like, I'll give them a free month of coaching through one of our coaches. You know, it's just like, I believe in what you're doing so much. My purpose today was to try to get people to try it out, because I know that, you know, no pun intended, that they've been standing on the deck kind of waiting to probably dip their toe in, you know, and I see all this interaction on your site, and I see all these people doing really good stuff with you. But I also know that there are a lot of people like, nah, I don't. I mean, it's like, it's so inexpensive when we're
yeah,
like, you know, give it a try. Like, seriously, dive in, give it a try. Like, if I don't know what else to say.
Yeah, and that's why we haven't even talked about what it is. So, I mean, straight up, it's a $97 program, but we're doing essentially a risk-free trial for $7. So, I'm not holding anything back. Like, you get full access to the course, you get full access to the progression, the drills, the education, the examples, everything that's in there. If it's not for you, just click a little button in your account. You're going to have your own little dashboard and account. If it's not for you, click the account. Your card's going to be billed $7 on day one. And then after 7 days, it'll be billed the full amount. So if it's not for you for whatever reason, just click off or cancel. You won't be billed. You got the entire thing. You got to view it for $7. I'm a big believer, as I know you are, in value up front. And I'm doing this just because I know people are going to see the value. Everyone that's got it loves it. They see the value. So like, I have no problem letting the product speak for itself. And that's why I don't even feel like I need to sell it, because it's $7. So,
I mean, it's like, honestly, like I'm trying to play multiple roles in this right now. Obviously, I'm trying to expose more people to what you have going on, because I think it's amazing, right? I'm trying to also be the voice of triathletes out there, but I'm also trying to be the coach too, that's friendly. Like if anybody watching this was my athlete, and any of you bought the Nike 4% shoes for like $400, you're not even allowed to take a step in before you try. You can't even try them in the store. You have to buy them, and you're not allowed to return them. And if they work, they last for about 30 miles and then they're done. If you've done that and you're not willing to try this for $7, you're a knucklehead. You know, I mean, like, but I'm like, in a loving way, going like, come on, like this is such a, and so that's where I just want everybody. I think I've been really impressed. I've obviously, you know, I think that there are other good swim coaches out there. I'm not saying you're the only, but you've got such a great package going on that you're getting results. I know people are really, in general, they come into the sport, they're most anxious about the swim. And this is just a great opportunity for, I think, a lot of people to jump in and give something a try for like $7. I mean, I think I haven't checked to see how much a Starbucks is lately, but I'm imagining it's around that price. You know, I mean, what are we talking about here? You know, and it's just like, I see so many athletes walking in those 4% shoes. They're $400. You know, it's like, and they're walking. You know, it's like, it just makes me, anyway. So I'll get off my high horse now, but click the link. I think you're all, just try it. I mean, like, seriously, what do you have to lose? And again, this is not for me. This is obviously Josh's thing, and I'm just trying to be an advocate for you all out there and bring you great information to hopefully. Let's see, we got a couple comments. So if you care for a second, so we got Dan McCluskey. Thanks for tuning in. He says, when I train consistent, it'll be fast and look fast. That's true, Dan. Can you just, let's see. I think having good athletes to associate and train with does help. If you can find a tribe, that really helps too. Yeah. And you have a community in there, right? And it's growing. It's like, it seems like every day my Facebook comes up and you're welcoming more people. So, I do think it looks like you're frozen on me there. So hopefully you're up there. You are, but you do have a good triathlon community or swim community growing in your Facebook group, right? And
no, it's a good community. I think he might be referring to in person. And absolutely, if you can find great people to swim with, do it. My whole thing is, if you find people that are better than you, we want to get you to the point where you can keep up with them.
Right.
So, my tribe, yes, we have a Facebook group, Swim Technique for Triathletes, but I think Dan's talking about the tribe to swim with. I don't know, but I'm a big advocate for swimming with people for sure. But anytime you get in a pool, in my mind, you need to be thinking about how you're moving through the water. So that's more what this is about, giving you the skills to improve and swim faster, but also swim with better and better people.
Love it, man. We've kept people long enough. Do you have anything else you want to add before we hop off here? And we got to get you.
Just appreciate everyone. What's that?
Yeah, maybe get you on the podcast next week so we can do a bit of.
Yeah, no, I'd love to go back on. Every time I go on the podcast, I get a ton of emails, ton of direct messages. So people are listening to you, man.
They're trying to find maybe they're like, that guy, no, I can't. But awesome.
Yeah. Well, but honestly, yeah, I mean, check it out. I've tried to make this as risk-free as possible. It's just I see a lot of people complaining about it and complaining about the swim, complaining about this, and this is a true framework and roadmap,
right? And
really a clear path to swimming faster. So try to make it as barrier-free as possible.
I just did a live earlier and it was talking about mindset, and it's sometimes you just have to change your mindset and how you approach it.
Totally.
And so this is an opportunity to just try something new. And let's say worst case scenario, after 7 days, it doesn't work for you. You just got motivated to go try something else for 7 days. And it's like maybe cold in half the country, or maybe you're not super excited about swimming, but you get to go essentially try on and test out a new pair of running shoes, right? That you can essentially return. Like, I just think, why not just give it a give it a shot, But and so many athletes I see, they have running groups, right? And so they run with the same friends, the same Wednesday morning runs or Friday morning runs and Saturday runs, and they run. And some of them work really, really hard. I'm not saying that they don't, but then they're all doing the exact same pace that they were doing year after year after year, which that's fine. But if you're looking to get better, you have to sometimes try something different.
Right. And it's just the type of thing where if you are in that, it's one thing if you're like sub 55 in your Ironman swim, but if your swim pace is not consistently improving year over year, you need to ask yourself, why not? Right. And the answer, you need to determine if it's a valid answer or an excuse. And quite frankly, most of the time that I talk to people, it's an excuse.
Right.
Like, I can't go faster than 130. Yeah, you can.
Yeah, you can. So again, my interest in this is I'm so thankful that people like you are out there helping people that I love and care about, the triathletes in the world. And so I'm trying to expose that to you, and I'm thankful that you're out there helping us, because we definitely need it.
Well, I appreciate you being an advocate. I appreciate you, letting me on here, having me on the podcast. I just love talking about it, and I feel like our conversations go really well. Yep. And I think we obviously know this, but I think we think very similar about our sports. Absolutely. And how we coach. So it's always a pleasure to talk to you, and always a pleasure to be part of the Superfly community.
I put the link up there, so they obviously have that. But if they want to get a hold of you directly, do you want to leave them with that? Or do you want to post that in the comments even maybe?
Yeah, I'll post that in the comments, but you can email me, josh@swimmingrx.com, and love to chat with you. Join our group. I'm in there quite a bit, Swim Technique for Triathletes. And I'm pretty easy to get a hold of.
Awesome, man. Thanks, buddy. We'll talk to you. I'll see you at the pool.
Yeah, see you, bud. Thank you.
Bye-bye.